Patrick, where do you feel the family court in Australia has been most helpful in sustaining families and communities?
I have a strange answer to that, is that the family court, its job is not to sustain families, it's to deal with the consequences of a breakup. The family court does a good job, as the Federal Magistrates Court does as well, but it does so in some of the worst situations of parents in intractable conflict who cannot reconcile issues for themselves, resolve issues for themselves, and then a judge has to try to sort it out. And I think we need to respect the family court and respect the judges who are involved in dealing with these issues, because they are dealing with the issues that parents can't deal with themselves.
One of the fundamentals of family law is the notion of no-fault divorce. Can you tell us about that, and what has been the legacy of the no-fault divorce legislation?
No-fault divorce originally meant that we wouldn't rely on proving fault in order to allow somebody to divorce. So, for example, it used to be the case that you had to prove adultery or cruelty or desertion before you could get a divorce, even when both people wanted the divorce. Now, I agree that no-fault divorce is a better way to go. The problem is that that philosophy has spread through to division of property, maintenance, and children. And there's a tendency to say, oh, it doesn't matter why the relationship broke up. But it does matter. It does matter enormously. Take, for example, a situation where a woman is asking for maintenance from a man, but she made the decision to leave the relationship. She ran off with somebody else. It didn't work out, and now she's in need. But should he be supporting her when she was the one who broke up the relationship because she committed adultery with somebody else? Family lawyers don't like to ask that question, but I think it's an important question to ask, because we have a situation where, in a sense, people are paying damages to others when they weren't at fault. And we need to get some concept in some situations of fault back on the agenda, and recognise that people need to take responsibility for their own decisions.
Are the churches right, in your view, to be constantly defending the institution of marriage and families traditionally understood?
I think the church is absolutely right to stress the importance of marriage as the fundamental building block of society. And the evidence is out there. Cohabiting relationships, de facto relationships, break up at something like 5 times the rate marriages do. Now, we all worry about the breakup rates of marriages, as we should, but cohabitation, de facto relationships, are far more unstable. And if children are in those relationships, it's a serious problem that the relationships are breaking up so quickly, so easily, and that children may experience multiple father figures in their home. The point about marriage is that it is a protective fence. It keeps people in the relationship until the pressures which are pulling them apart become too great to withstand. Now, sometimes people leap over that fence regardless. Sometimes the pressures are too great for the relationship to survive. But the fact that you need a divorce, the fact you need to wait a year before you can file, is a protective fence. It keeps people in, it makes them work a bit harder at the difficulties, and many of them will get through those difficulties, get to the other side, and be so glad they didn't split up.
Can we close on a more controversial topic? There seems to be a clash. On the one hand, the gay lobby demanding full recognition of same-sex couples as marriages, and on the other, conservative Christians who don't want to give same-sex couples any rights at law. Are these our only 2 options in this debate?
There's an enormous amount of middle ground which we need to find. Let me say on same-sex marriage, first of all, it's not for governments to define marriage. It's not for governments to change the meaning of marriage. Marriage existed before governments did. Marriage is something which is fundamental to social institutions, fundamental to social organisation throughout history. Governments need to respect the meaning of marriage in the community. And at the moment, there isn't a community-wide consensus that marriage can be of same-sex partners as well as opposite-sex partners. It's historically meant, culturally means, the lifelong commitment of a man and a woman, with the idea in most cases of bringing children into the world. On the other hand, same-sex couples need respect, need recognition for the fact that they form partnerships which are important, meaningful, loving for them, and that gives rise to legal implications, legal issues, legal consequences. Take for the example superannuation. As an employee, I pay into a super fund. My employer gives me benefits because I'm an employee. It's part of my contract of employment. If and when I die, I will die, my wife may inherit some benefits from that superannuation or that pension. Now, if a gay man has been contributing, has been employed, working in the same way that I do, why shouldn't his same-sex partner inherit exactly the same rights as my wife would do? That's a fundamental principle of fairness and justice. So in many situations, most situations perhaps, we ought to be treating same-sex couples in terms of rights and obligations in a very similar way, maybe the same way as a married couple do, but recognizing that there are many forms of family, there are many forms of relationship. We don't have to call them all marriage.
Thank you very much.